Now, those were his habits. One more, I just want to go through his holy resolves. And I'm not talking about New Year's resolutions where we say we're going to, not eat so much and we're going to exercise. I'm talking about holy resolves that are based on the Scripture. And these are all I wills. So I'm only going to give you a few. They're all the way through this psalm, but let me show them to you, starting in verse 7. Okay? Here's the first one. I will praise you. Verse 8. I will keep your statutes. Keep going to verse 15. I will meditate on your precepts. Do you see the difference? The first group, his habits were, I'm doing that. The second group is his plans, his resolves, his desires. He say, when I get into the situation, I will do this. These were his holy resolves. Verse 16, I will delight myself in thy statutes. I will not forget your word. What wonderful resolves he had. Look at verse 32. I will run in the course of your commandments when you shall enlarge my hearts. You notice all these were including the Lord. I will run in thy commandments. I will delight myself in thy statutes. I will meditate in thy precepts. His resolves, everything in his life kind of orbited around the Lord. And he looked at life. His habits were habits of the Lord. His resolves were toward the Lord, what he wanted to do in light of his relationship with the Lord. Here's another one in verse 45. I will walk at liberty. How do you walk at liberty? How do I have liberty? And how do I have freedom from the overwhelming power and the chains of sin? For I seek thy precepts, verse 45 says. My resolve is I'll walk at liberty. How do I do that? Because I seek your precepts. That's just like what it says in John chapter 8. Whom the Son sets free will be free indeed. If we follow his precepts, if we yield to the Lord, he alone can free us from the bondage of sin. So the psalmist said, this is my resolve. I'm going to walk at liberty. How will I do that? I'll seek your precepts. Look at verse 46. I will speak of thy testimonies. Before kings, I will not be ashamed. He said, I'm going to testify of you. I'm going to tell people about you. I'm not going to be passive. I'm not going to clam up and be just in the background. I'm going to speak up for you. Verse 47. Here's another resolve. I will delight myself in thy commandments, which I have loved. He says, I have a scriptural resolve that I am going to this year, this day, this month, I'm going to delight myself. That's an interesting word, delight. Same word that's all the way through Song of Solomon. It speaks of an intoxicating. In Song of Solomon, it's romantic. It's of Solomon and his love for this girl from the vineyard that he had fallen in love with, which he wrote this love poem to, the Song of Solomon. But here, he's saying, Lord, you are the one. You have captivated my heart. Whenever I think of doing something, I think of doing it for you. And what he said is, my resolve is that I'm going to delight myself in your commandments because I love them. Here's the last one, verse 48. His last resolve. My hands will I lift up unto thy commands, which I have loved, and I will meditate on thy statutes. Literally, this one says, in my hands I will carry. The lift up isn't lifting the hands, it's lifting the word in the hands. And what it was speaking of is, Ezra probably was talking about picking up these scrolls and actually taking them with him. And I thought about that. I thought about a holy resolve that I will, in my hands, carry this book. I mean, you have choices every day. I go out to lunch too many times. That's why I'm much more of me than Bonnie married. But you know what? I always found out that when I go to lunch, someone's delayed. And you get all these on your cell phone. You get a little call. Hey, I'm 5 minutes late. I'm 10 minutes late. I'll be there in 15. Do you know how much of the Bible I've read in those 10 and 15 minutes? I mean, an immense portion of this book. Why? Because I've made it a purpose of my life that I will, as he said in verse 48, I will lift up my hands unto thy commandments. I will in my hands carry God's word. I'm going to keep it close in hand. And if it's not playing on the radio or the MP3 player, it's read in hand. Because I want to have, as a resolve of my life, to keep this book and this word and the God of this word very close. Why? Because out there lurking are these giant yellow-eyed creatures of darkness, metaphorically speaking. They are the world and all its allurements, the flesh that is ever with each of us. We're not eradicated. We have our flesh to death. and the devil. And we're going to see tonight, I'm going through Christ's longest letter he wrote. Jesus wrote, the longest letter he wrote was to Thyatira. And he talks about the devil visiting that church. And you know what? With the world, the flesh, and the devil arrayed against us in the dark forest of this world, how do we maintain a word-filled life? We do it like Ezra did with holy habits. I have. And with holy resolves, I will. You want to be having a word-filled life, victorious, secure? Then let this word richly dwell in you. Have holy habits and have holy resolves.